Namaste everyone. Very warm welcome to Satsang today. Sadhguru Shri Muji Ji ki Jai.
Sadhguru Ananta Ji ki Jai.
The voice of the ego, the voice of the mind, also derives its power from you. So although it might seem like the trickiest, most subtle, cunning voice, it knows exactly what buttons to push. It cannot outsmart the supreme intelligence that you are. So let's do a small exercise today where we get to the root of the beliefs that we still seem to hold. Many of you are now saying that I don't know what I'm holding on to, but it feels like I'm still holding on to something. So let's see then if we can unravel some of this and use the trickster itself to uproot this trickster. Use the tricks of the ego to weaken the foundations of this identity. So just for ourselves, I will not be asking you to expose these if you don't want to. Find out what it is that you are most fearful about. What is your biggest fear? What is the message underlying your biggest fear? And come face to face with it. Don't deny it. Don't try to push it away. Even if in satsang it doesn't seem so strong, just stay with it. And if many of them are coming, then just start with one. We will look at all of them. Just start with one. This fear is a pointer to some attachment which still remains. There is attachment at the root of fear. Find out what type of attachment this is. Is it to something in the world? Is it to something that you seem to have? Understand that whatever the fear is, it is based on this attachment. Come face to face with this attachment. No running, no resisting, and no denial. Right now is not a good time to use denial. Let all the feelings associated with this attachment come up. Don't hide, don't run. Now find out which identity that you are carrying is attached to this attachment. If the attachment was for children, for example, then find out whether it is the father or mother identity. If it is to a special relationship, look at the relationship identity. The identity which still must be dear to us, that we are still attached to. Which identity are we unwilling to let go of? Now look at the thoughts which reinforce this identity. The thoughts about this identity. And you will find that there is belief in these thoughts. Belief has been given to these thoughts. That's why this identity still seems strong. Again, no room for denial or proclamations. This is not the time for this kind of self-deception. Look, look closely and unravel the thoughts behind this identity. Find the one thought, the one thought which you are not willing to let go of. And stay with this one thought. Inquire into who this thought is referring to. Whose thought is this? And as you look more and more, you will find that this thought does not apply to you at all because the you to which it is referring does not exist. Give up this thought. Let it go. Allow it to burn in the fire of this satsang here. You have been deluded by this long enough. It is not in service to you. It is only the doorway to misery. And if for some of you this thought is coming up strongly to expose in satsang, you can do so now.
So there is a thought, Father. comes from feeling inadequate, and probably right from my childhood. Today, I think I question my wife's love for me because of that thought, and it's coming up very strongly for me. And I want to place it at your feet, Father. Thank you so much.
Do you want to expose it or no?
Yeah, the thought that my wife doesn't love me, or not that she doesn't love me, I know she loves me, but I feel inadequate. I have a sense of inadequacy about it.
You feel like you are not worthy enough?
Yes. Or she should show it more, but it's really my sense of inadequacy.
And this my that this thought is referring to, does it exist?
No. I should say just sense of inadequacy that's here. It's not mine. I have been looking at it as mine.
So do you want to take us through this cycle of how it worked? What was the biggest fear?
My biggest fear my whole life has been not being adequate enough.
Not being
Right from
adequate.
childhood. Not for whatever reason.
Like a sense of unworthiness.
Yes.
And this fear pointed you to which attachment?
For some reason, first it was Palak. Palak, then it went to my parents. Then came back to Palak.
And the identity which was revealed was this special relationship or close relationships identity.
And the need for specialness, Father.
Yeah.
It's a need for specialness.
And we find that this one who needs to feel special does not exist, has always been only an idea that I have had about myself. And in this process, now we are burning all these ideas. We are letting them go because they don't apply to us. You wanted to say?
Yeah, so strong, clear fear of that. I try to run through all the 4 quadrants that we discussed in Satsang. And little things, the son identity, the brother identity, and this little desire to talk about this only, spread this. I don't know, in a teacher role or whatever, but just talk about this. There's nothing else to talk about now. And then maybe from the seeking or seeker, okay, you want to talk about it, but you don't have the deeper insights yourself yet. So this kind of could, I try to go through, imagine terminal illness and all of that, but nothing brought up very strong fear. Even death of somebody in the family will bring grief for sure. It won't be a very long suffering. What is death? End of story also. So okay, it's okay.
So the trump cards are all dissolving. Just some little remnants are getting together and making this soup of identity a little bit.
know, Father. Same thing. I should complete all the expectations. They think that I'm wasting my life. Like they have all their
This
possessions.
is sun identity. And when you look for the sun, can you find it?
But at the same time, I can't say it's nothing.
Not yet.
Energy, yeah. Energy is there. Like it's completely known that there is no sun.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's there. Energy.
I must fulfill their expectation. Is the key thought.
Yes.
So not only are you buying the sun identity, you're also believing that this non-existent identity is the doer of something or can do something. Because if firstly it doesn't exist, secondly that which doesn't exist cannot do anything or fulfill or not fulfill expectation. So isn't this clear that this is only going to cause misery?
Yes.
I feel like Baron Katie right now.
How do you feel when you believe this thought?
And I was going to say, actually, is there one good reason to keep it? And this is just Baron Katie. I've run out of original material. There is actually no good reason to keep this.
As I'm exposing it, it's funny.
Yeah. That's the power of exposing. See, especially in
Yes.
front of people, it can seem like something got burnt in this process.
Feels some relaxed.
Just straight away came up like the fear of being raped and left to die. And these visuals, and I feel a bit like I'm still stuck in that fear space, and I can really, it's like a guess as it's body identification. But even like a couple of days ago, I went to the ashram at night and walking back by myself. Like I saw men standing there, and it's just something in the body. It's just, and it's been there since I was a child. And it bugs me because like, I don't.
It's very good that you're able to expose it like this.
I can say that even a couple of days ago, there was that little whatever that, okay, I'm not in this space, where am I? But I can't still say that it will feel okay if it happened again.
It'll become clearer and clearer that the space of experiencing cannot be harmed by any experience. It is literally more spacious than this space, this three-dimensional space. So if this three-dimensional space itself cannot be harmed, that space in which this space is born, there's just no chance. And this is a deep conditioning for you, a childhood conditioning for you because of the circumstances around. This will also dissolve.
Seeing the death of my loved one, like someone very close, my sister or niece, before this body died, or second, losing some part of the body before I died. That's the two biggest fears.
And the thought which you are not willing to give up is?
I can't say that because it's just instinct. I should die before this.
before I experience this kind of a situation, may there be no experiencing left. So I've often said that there are just four main problems, four main identities. It seems like to all of us that our lives are very complex. But it's just around four things. Number one thing is, and number one recruiter to Satsang is relationships. Relationship issues, relationship problems, relationship. It could be parent, son, it could be all these close relationships. The second is the seeker identity. I'm seeking some meaning, I'm seeking some happiness, I'm seeking some joy, I'm seeking liberation, freedom. The third is the work, money, security, these related problems, identities. And the fourth is the body, health of the body, should have a healthy body. The sense that I am the body and it should be a certain way and not be a certain way. Is there any other problem? You got one.
It's like a feeling that the world is like impure, like that humans are like destroying it, and that at some point they'll like destroy like all the good things on the planet, and it will be just disgusting, like cesspit.
So this, if this body was not in this planet, would it matter to us? If you were living on Titan, which is one of the moons of Jupiter,
Yes, I would still feel that. I've already been through this many times. I feel that if I was in the furthest away planet in the galaxy, I could still feel that there was impurity somewhere. I would still feel like bad about it.
because okay, so which identity did this point to?
Something about that like existence has some fault.
A fellowship with the rest of existence, which is now not doing the right things, and something needs to be done to fix it. Or
Yeah, there's a feeling that nothing can be done because it is inherently wrong. It's inherently bad.
so this sense that because I am an individual entity with my free will and doership, therefore so does everyone else, and they're misusing it. It cannot be that I don't exist personally and yet everyone else exists personally. Both have to be true or untrue. It cannot be that you don't exist personally and God is here, and for everyone else it is not God operating, it is a person operating.
It feels like existence itself is cruel and bad.
That happens when we take a perspective of looking at one side of it. Because if you were to look completely objectively, you will find that all the contrasts are available in this existence. In this world of duality, every opposite is available. So there's unfathomable cruelty, and also there are unfathomable compassion, humaneness. So both aspects, they have been here since whatever time we can go back to in history. In this realm seems to operate like this, with this complementary nature, see, duality, the yin and yang, as it is drawn. So when we look at, there are some who always only look at the glass half full. and some who always only look at the glass half empty. But the glass is both half empty and half full. You see? And this is the balance of the yin and yang. So once we discover that no person is operating here, you find the one supreme intelligence which has been keeping this balance alive. So it can come that what can I do to help this world which is really suffering so much? The most important gift you can give to the world that is suffering so much is to first be free from your suffering. You see? Because we don't know what it is that will help others from their suffering. We feel if I give them some money, if I give them some education, if I give them something, they might not suffer. But we don't know this. You see? Because someone who's rich can actually suffer a lot more than someone who doesn't have anything. So the best gift that we can give to this world is to be free from our suffering. And then our presence itself will help others who come in contact with us for them to get free from their suffering. And how to be free from our suffering? To discover that I do not have an individual existence at all. And with this discovery, you will also see that it has always been this one consciousness that has been running this realm. And it is not making a mistake, although it can seem like it.
I would like to expose because just nothing, and I really don't believe it. When I my eyes open, I don't believe it. But sometimes, because you asked, and I did the contemplation and came back, and I said again here, and then I therefore because I looked into it and said that it's a future, imagined future. So because I have done with the relationships, so I have like. I don't have fears, anything, but because there is still something coming back, this voice from childhood, my mother, or also others, but because she was closer one, like you cannot, you have to have somebody, because I always felt like free, and since childhood she was telling you that you have to have somebody, you cannot be alone in the world. So because, but now I've been done with relationships, I see since long. So sometimes, like now, strong feeling of possible future suffering of body if it's not healthy, or if I get ill and I'm alone because I have nobody who will. How can I take care? And if possible suffering comes, if I will be able, then all my imagination stops because I cannot imagine beyond that. But it comes as certain thoughts, then play the game, and then stops, and then I see nothing, and then comes back to me my energy. But it's relationship with the body, actually. Yes. I would like really to hand it over forever.
Very. This body, we will come to a place where there will be so much trust in the one that is has provided this body, the one that is breathing this body, the one that is beating the heart of this body to take care of the body also.
Thank you. Because I feel that just sometimes the connection, the full thing is still not here. The full thing.
It is just some deeply conditioned fears of the past which are now exposing themselves, are being freed. There are actually millions of processes happening in the body. Even right now, who is doing that?
Yeah.
You see? Blood is flowing, digestion is happening. All millions of processes. That supreme intelligence is taking care of it. It is the mind that says you must take care of the body. If that stopped working, Nothing can take care of the body. You can come and sit here, man.
It's clear that the world is kind of not safe. And though we can witness it, but it's in the form of energy. That even when you say, think about it, then it's somewhere in the back of the head, and then it's there. So I can very well witness it. It's since childhood. There was some near experience of abduction in the childhood.
Abduction.
Yeah. So, like she was saying, whenever I'm going through anything, suddenly a fear might come about this. The world is not safe. Even I read about biology, my developed if in your mind, if you have fought on to this belief that the world is not safe, or you're not safe, or this might happen, so you're able to encounter it, witness it, but it's still there. It keeps on going. Even in my dreams, I do a lot of fighting and screaming. Somewhere inside there is this would say
The world is not a safe place.
yeah. Like anywhere I go, I travel a lot. I have this.
As more and more you're discovering that you cannot be harmed, you cannot be hurt, you cannot be affected. You're discovering yourself to be this invincible space of being. And all these will also be released, will also be gone. This doesn't mean that we'll become reckless. It doesn't mean that some recklessness should come, because that is also ego. Just a natural fearlessness, natural, just flowing.
It's more in the form of energy rather than a voice.
I want to just scream. I want to go outside.
Scream and come back. This is just this conditioning. When it's getting released, it can take various forms. Some can cry, some can just laugh, some want to scream. Just pent up that we don't even realize.
I see this is awareness.
this it's not that sticky, but it's like it's also something that you know, but in every new preference, like you started, I want to eat you. So this is where I
Yes.
start. Before I used to start with devotion, so I had like prayer to multiple Christ or to Guru, some kind of like these are like a little attachment when I see anything. It's not attachment now. I see it's all appearing in this awareness, as like that sound came and she on your head, right? It's like we want someone to give us or to hold us. So that's like of it was my like security. And that security blanket is going. Like if I drop this, but again I want to hold it because who will I try with? Who will I hold to? You know, it's just like that whole hand.
Your presence will never leave you.
Yeah, but like just as soon as we hear sound or something, we want to attach. It comes with some divine Shakti or something.
This is the most divine. Your holy presence is God Himself. See, and this does not leave you. So you find that this you can call it Guru, Sadguru, God, Atma. So all that I am doing is introducing you to this one. Because even this form will go. This form will also go. So my truest attempt is to introduce you to this one so that no matter what appearances might be coming or going, if they are scary, if they are nice, you know that all of this is coming and going. What is here, my being, is that which is immortal and that I can trust. One day you won't even rely on your being. One day you say that I witness even being. And this witness is beyond all of this play. But till then, this being is completely reliable.
So the thought probably the energy is trying to tell me, so what will you do in the morning when you wake up? You like Guru, as you haven't given me any mantra or nothing to glorify you or to Sadguru Guruji, so I don't even know. Just say Guruji ki jai. And that's not like my pain is not finding a satisfaction. It was some kind of prayer. But then there is no prayer like these days. There's nothing coming as I have spoken with people. And this came a little bit stronger to me. So it's like this check too with you. What do you do when you wake up?
Nothing at all. I put on the computer and I see what some news is there. It's very regular. In fact, there was one who asked in Satsang like this. I don't know whether you were there. She said, "Tell me your daily routine." And I said, "Promise that you won't stop coming to Satsang after you hear my daily routine." And she never came back after. I said I'm working till about 1:32, and then I sleep. I wake up at about 8. My kids come say bye to me sometimes, and they wake me up for a second, and I go back to sleep and wake up at 8. And just very regular, nothing out of the ordinary at all. What is there to do? Because that wakes up is enough.
Yeah, I can see it space from this awareness that there's nothing. But this was probably it's just that part of me was already.
If you feel,
But there is no fearness, there is only that Okay, what will you do then?
There is no harm if there's a feeling to start your day in a better way than I do. Do some chanting, some yoga. It's good. But don't ever believe that something is needed for you to become the self.
Let's coming. If there is any residue, I just surrender it to you. And if there is any ego in there, of my ignorance, because ignorance can pull me again or can read something or get do a puja or something different. How we used to, even you go to a mandir, then lots of chanting and nothing there. And I was never like that. I had very simple life, so it's just like when I go to mandir, how do I say there?
Just like a child,
I would go, I don't know.
a child goes to the playground and plays, the same way you can do puja. Very innocently, like a child. Not wanting something out of it. Just for the play of it.
It's kind of just like reverence to God. It's like he was always, that Shakti, that beauty was always, that love was always here, and it was just like, image was that there is distance, And now it's just your pointing, it's just showing, it's all there.
It's all here, yes.
It's all here, and it was all that. And somehow we were sensing that, and then the big identity was coming up, projection of the world, or conditions of the world, or ideas and everything, how religion tried and everything. So it's all those things like, everything is just this ideas, and even what I'm talking, it becomes like souls. Yesterday's breakthrough happened. When I want to express it, then it becomes thought now. It's nothing.
Yes. When we pull out the past, then it is expressed as thought. The present moment is fresh enough where everything is already available. So we don't need to refer to anything from the past. Even the most beautiful spiritual experiences were just prasad. Along the way, we had it, it's over. If we hang on to it, then it becomes expectation.
See, my mind was expecting some kind of voice out here, or you will tell my past and my future. And it was searching for all this time. Yesterday, I just felt, wow, it's nothing to find a past or future. It's already there. It was there for that knowledge and experience itself. It becomes thoughts now.
Once you see that all of this that is appearing is a movie, will you want to see the future? Who wants to go for a movie which is already you know the ending? There'll be no interest in wanting to find out. The spoilers you don't want for the movie. You want to watch it fresh. Let's have a few minutes in silence and then we can. There was once one who came to Satsang and the screaming thing was going on. And she said, Why? Why am I screaming? I said, it's not the screams from the now, they are the screams which have been muffled in the past. They have to get released.
It's waiting very short.
This ground of satsang will dissolve all of this. And we don't know how much of a burden we are carrying. And some of us, it will trigger some things to get released in us also, to come out. And we think that it is fresh, but no, it is triggering something which has been held here. Garimas wrote this note. She said, yesterday when someone came up and said their friends would not like them to have a name from you because of some hypnotic effect from you. The wife identity woke up and wanted to fight back in some way. Or when you gave the other lady advice on the relationship, the wife was worried for you. When such things happen, there is a thought as to why do people speak such stuff and will it get worse? You spend hours talking in all, taking us all to our real self. Countless hours answering mails and messages and giving time to all the Sangha members. You are the purest manifestation of a God or Guru. And yesterday, when these words were spoken, you didn't even say anything nasty in return. Where the wife thinks, what are you? How can one be closer to God than this? There can be no greater blessing than being with you. And no greater blessing than having you as a Guru. Thank you for everything. Later in bed, I remembered what Bhagwan says. The consciousness which took the form of Ananta is perfectly capable of caring for itself. So why must another play of consciousness called Garima feel the need to protect, speak up for them? And it was understood so beautifully. But the question is, will the prick of such moments then die as one matures into the seeing? Because this identity is strong, out of habit, and as you say, continue to check in until one is steadfast in the self. Is that the way to deal with it? Yes. First is not to worry so much about what is occurring spontaneously, even through this body. So if something came up in response and got shouted out, even that is completely fine. What is more important is to not believe what the mind is saying about any situation. So, like you said, it's all consciousness, and it is only consciousness which is playing even the response, if any is to come. So the doer can subtly hide behind this and say that in these situations, what should I do? But actually, there is no such doer. And as this gets clearer and clearer, then it can be that,
The need to have a response.
or it could be that just whatever response is there, there is no sense of even controlling it. You're right up front. So either way it can go. It is not about the action actually, but it is only about the belief that I am this particular entity. And
It's not appropriate. It's not appropriate.
appropriateness actually takes the back seat, especially in the satsang environment. It is not so much about what actions are flowing through us. It is whether we are still picking up an identity about it.
So just now when you asked us to do this thing, I followed. My biggest fear is losing you. And the thought that comes with it is because he's mine. Right? So it is because now there's less and less time with you. So the thought is losing you. And then, going back, you realize that it is a part of the same consciousness. So there is, you and me are already one. So there is nothing then to lose there. But things
But
like
the
this
way I see
come
it
up.
in the phenomenal play also is that there is no, after meeting Guruji, there is no inclination here to have any other personal sort of relationship. What existed in there before that, for some, actually even that vanishes. So you can't really say. But in how it played out here, it is clear to me that the personal relationship I have in our relationship is only with this. This play of Garima and Ananta is still the only personal play which is left here. And in the 7, 8 years since I met Guruji, there's not been a time where it felt like there should be a personal relationship of some sort in any other way. So the mind can come up with these sort of fears that what if I lose him? But from whatever I can see and what I've seen so far, I don't see it as a possibility. Because I'm always there. There's no sense here that I want to leave my house, I want to leave my wife and children. This is a blessing from Guruji also.
So then, if as consciousness, as parents, we need to take care of the children because it's not always that. So just like this thing of maybe you're completely capable of taking care of yourself, but so like if someone came and told you that some harm is going to come to me or whatever, I said something bad, there'd be two reactions. You'd want to know what exactly was said or done, and you'd want to protect me because you believe that I cannot have said anything which is wrong. Maybe. There is this protection thing that you feel like, right? I mean, it happens with you often also. That
So like I
somebody
said,
says
that
something.
the strong, close personal relationships from before I met Guruji have survived the so-called awakening.
Gosh, there was a chance they wouldn't have.
Yes, for many it just feels like you just want to wander on the streets. You're like an avaduta, you're walking.
That's not fair.
It didn't happen here. So the
I'm not
Buddha,
saying it would have happened.
the whole dimension to be grateful to existence to not meet me. So many, like the Buddha, went off.
Yeah. This is not good.
But I'm saying the way that it is here, I don't feel that there's any feeling ever that I will be wanting to leave or something. Either my children or you, or when I have grandchildren, I'm sure I'll enjoy those.
The thing is, I don't know why it comes so fast. When anybody says anything, like last night you were worried about the cab thing. You got worried, right?
So she said, I'm going back, I can't take this anymore. I'm booking a cab and I'm going back to Bangalore. So just cancel the cab and come here.
But you got worried.
Okay.
How That's why I get worried about you when you give advice and then some harm will come to you. So I get worried. And even though I did this scene just now and it just disappeared, it was just one consciousness, there's nothing to worry about. It keeps perking up like this, which is completely destroys the.
Not that I'm comparing in any way, but even the greatest ones have had some element of personal attachment continue. It is not a robotic life. It's not like I go home and I don't recognize my children. Oh, they're just children. It's not like that. If something happens to a Sangha member here, and something, and when I know it's not just an energetic release and something really has to be done, I will run and call the doctor.
I was also thinking, maybe if somebody says anything adverse, maybe some of the Sangha members also feel this is not true. How could they say this?
Yes.
I mean, I know you don't do any hypnosis and things like that.
I'd like to clarify, I didn't mean that you were hypnotizing. I meant to say that normally under the influence
I don't
of
remember
group,
the hypnosis thing at all.
I use the word like maybe I'm making this request under group hypnosis, which means that like people
Collective
generally
consciousness.
do things in the presence of a group which normally they wouldn't do. So this and because
Herd mentality.
they continuously see other people doing it, and even if it goes against their grain. So actually, maybe that was a strong word to use. I did not mean that you do any kind of hypnosis.
It'll be so much easier. I should learn some of that. You are not the person.
I'm saying that it's okay if it comes up. And also the need to act on it dies a little. It's not so strong. Because you see it's just a play. But if there is something that emerges in that moment, it would be inappropriate to say it. It's not my place to say it in the Sangha. It's my place as a wife to tell you, but it's not my place to say it like that. That's not right.
Let's see, whatever happened. Don't make any conclusions or plans or code of conduct or guidelines.
This is why I said it's very difficult, because even when you talk to me, it just doesn't become guru always. It's very difficult because I'm like literally have to put on different roles like this.
Just allow it to just play on its own for a few days, and we'll see how easy and natural it is. Just moment to moment allow for a few days, just see how it plays, and then we can talk about whether it feels more natural or less natural.
One is more evident to a guru. I mean, I can't not be telling you things that I need to tell you.
Yeah.
So, you just, if you're the guru, there is duty.
There is no set template.
Yeah,
It
that's
will work
the.
out fine.
Thank you for everything.
No, we'll try it. You want?
No.
Oh, okay. Just before you start, I want to tell you that some of you are new to Satsang, might be feeling some sense of fear because of the screaming and things like this. Don't worry, it's very normal, it's very natural, especially in the closing times of the retreat. In fact, I'd be concerned if none of it was happening. I'd say, what did we miss?
I hadn't felt to come up at all until it was last night after dinner. It was just a strong yearning to come up, and I could barely wait until Satsang today. So I don't have a question at the moment, but I don't know, I just want to come and see what comes out. I'm flying back in just a few days, 2 months. And I just wanted to make sure I had an opportunity.
So let me ask you the only question which is relevant, if you can say, is that if you were to give me your truest introduction, what would that be? What is true about what is here? It's good. Presence is seen, seeker energy is also seen. Who is the seer? Seeing itself. Now, can the seeing move?
But any time a feeling, I check this a lot when there's a feeling of separation. Even that is seen, feeling of separation is seen.
Seeing. Seeing remains untouched. Right? Can the feeling of separation cause any separation? Because what would it separate? What can separate? Can the being separate? Can the seeing separate? Can this oneness actually be divided?
Sometimes it's just a play of energies or something. It's just seen.
Yes, the play of energy which is seen. Very good. Was there still a thought which came up saying, I'm not willing to give this one up?
So only about that, and I don't even know that it was. I don't know what it was, but a thought or something. So I was kind of looking, and it was feeling cause something, what would cause some fear. That came not being able to be with physical presence.
Not being able to get a visa back or something.
And then just even that though,
Not so strong.
not because when I before it was just like I would, that it. It's okay. But there's still a longing to be in physical presence. And when there's an opportunity for retreat, it's still there. So the only thing
You go back when 22nd. Anandi is the first one who said, I'm selling off all my stuff and I'm moving to Bangalore. Yes, that was very clear from here. But somewhere there was also this thing, really? It's been quite an adventure for her. It's been very nice having her around. A lot of funny stuff also happened along the way. She misread her visa date and overstayed her visa. All worked out just fine. I can see that all that was carried when she came, she's going without.
So when you started this, looking for our fears and what we are afraid of. So I was always feeling I'm very fearful and a lot of fear I have. But when I started to look, I couldn't see anything.
Couldn't see.
So I was very surprised because there's a lot of fear and nothing is coming concrete, which I can resolve.
It's very good because sometimes the fear is about having fear itself. We're fearing that there's too much fear and we're too afraid to look. But when we just start looking, with our own light, we are looking. We find, what is it? Where is it? Many times we don't find it. Also,
And when we came to identity, so I found my identity to be a businessman. I'm a businessman. So I don't know, is it how to deal with that? What is it?
so what we are supposed to do with this is to look at the businessman identity and ask, so where is this businessman? Who is it? Does it have any existence? This is the way we inquire into it. So it could be businessman, son, father, worker, employee, any identity. And we look and we say, where is it? Is the body the businessman? The body is not concerned about business or money. So where is this one who is a businessman? And we find that it's only a set of beliefs that we have picked up along the way about ourselves. that we have now put in the compartment of businessman. So it becomes the most important part of our photo album. But as we look more and more, we find that there is no one here who can really be called any man. Forget businessman. So that person which can have identities, that itself is not found. All that we find is consciousness, is being, presence. And we see that presence cannot truly be called any sort of person. It is presence itself which plays all the roles. But I cannot truly say that it is this sort of person or that sort of person. I find that I am this untouched presence which can play the role of pretending to be all of these roles but cannot really become. And as we come to this clarity about ourselves, then we find that all roles actually become simpler to manage. The fear is that if I give up on the identity, it will become more difficult. But usually what is seen is that everything becomes quite effortless because we are so much in the moment. Something is coming, it is dealt with, kept away. Not so much, oh, if I do this, then what will happen, what is the plan, what is it. So much of this effort which makes us just tired and wants to run away. I need a break, something like that. It happens because it is tiring, because we're doing all of this effort. We find that yes, we are living moment to moment fresh. Everything is being taken care of. We find that being on vacation or being at work is the same. In fact, sometimes you'll say going on vacation is more tiring because you travel out and you travel in. Work is just so relaxed.
So now everybody doesn't have an identity.
Everybody doesn't have an identity. Everybody, but the sages have caught on to some identity.
Like a guru identity.
Everybody except the sages are holding on to some identity.
The sages will hold on to a guru identity.
And sages, then you would not call them sages.
Like what would be your identity?
I see that all the roles are here, but I cannot truly find an identity. My strongest, sometimes they will ask me, so what is the strongest attachment that you have? And then I look, I find, yes, there is attachment to family, because if something was to happen to my children or to my wife, there would be some sense of grief here. And after that, some attachment to the sun. I will not lie and say there's no, I'm jealous. I see, it is there. But compared to the strength of these things which were there before I met Guruji, it is minuscule, very, very less.
After that, coming to the belief. So I have a belief that I am responsible for business, for running the show and everything.
But now that we are looking at it from this direction, you see that the businessman itself doesn't exist. So who is then here to do it properly or do it badly or anything? Who is there to fulfill the responsibility well or not well?
But then I feel that I will not do it. I will run away. I will escape.
Yes, this is thought. So
Because
what
I
you
have a
can
very
do,
escapist tendency, which I have been fighting in my life.
I went for a program once many years ago, and I found that everyone said I am more lazy than most. Almost everyone said this. This fear is there in all of us that we might just, if you lose the identity, if you lose this fear, I just might become lazy or not. But it's comforting to see that almost everyone carries this sort of fear. Second, it is that you play with it. So you say next weekend, I will just not believe a thought. Let them just come and go. And then I will observe whether action still continues to happen or not. And you will find that naturally all actions which are supposed to happen are still unfolding. So this was unfounded, my belief that I need to be strongly associated with an identity to be productive. See that all of this, and you realize, oh, this is the way it has always flowed. Only the commentator has been saying, oh, you did this well, you did this badly, you were lazy with this, you should have worked harder. All this has just been the commentary. But everything is flowing exactly the way it is meant.
So I keep inquiring about the identity, which I
Yes,
can.
inquiry is very good. Also, on a weekend, start with a weekend. You start on a Saturday and say that this Saturday, I'm just going to not believe my next thought. And let's see if I'm lying around in bed whole week. This fear comes that you just lie. But you see that you know action will happen on their own. Then we'll break this concept of intention and action. You see that thoughts are appearing and disappearing, actions are appearing and disappearing. There is no thinker and there is no doer. You play with this because, like I keep saying, that don't let this be a belief.
Yes.
You play with it for yourself. Experiment and you see what happens and it will reveal itself to you.
One more thing.
Yes?
Like when we are sitting in front of you, somebody is sitting in here, and you take us who we are, and we come to a point where we realize that we are somewhere, something beyond. But that feeling, as soon as we open the eyes, it diminishes, and when we go out of the room, it disappears altogether. So, how to keep that feeling all the time, or more of how to increase that feeling?
So when we go through the inquiry together, in very rare cases, does the belief in personhood not come back. In most cases, it comes back. But what has happened in doing the inquiry together is that I've seeded the inquiry in you. So that you now can, at any point, start the looking. And you will come across the same points. Where some appearances might seem to be strong. Then you will come across this presence of being. And you will say that there is a witness even of this presence. Who is this witness? So because I've gone through this with you, it has been seeded. And then at any point of time, life will always create the opportunities where you can just check in. Because what has happened is that only the false belief is now being dissolved. So you have believed that the sun comes from the west. And I have made you check once to see that it comes from the east. Okay? Now, most ones, because for millions of years they believe that sun comes from the west, that one time checking is not enough. Only for a few rare ones. Yeah? So then again they want to check the next day. Okay? Because the belief will come again strongly, but only maybe it was a one-time thing. Maybe it only happens when Ananta is sitting in front of you. All this will come. Sun comes from the east only when Ananta is sitting in front of you. Otherwise, it's from the west. This kind, it's actually what happens. Otherwise, the person is real. It can seem like that. But then you now have the ability to just check. Oh, it's still again in the east. Every time I check, it's again in the east. And then there'll come a point where you just know it comes from the east. Like we are not checking every day where it is coming from. We just know it will come from the east. So this is the value of inquiry. This is the value of checking.
We keep checking and keep confirming.
Yes, as long as it is not possible, it becomes a laughable belief that the sun comes from the west. Like for us, if I tell you sun comes from the west, you laugh. What is he saying? Like that. Just like that, when you say that you are a person, identity, you laugh. What identity? That is the only difference between a realized one and the one that still carries the ego. The person is a laughable concept for the one who is.
When we are doing the inquiry, so the question has to come from the mind. We are trying not to use the mind, but then we have to use the mind to ask the next question. Sometimes there's a kind of a conflict.
Just the question in itself is just making us look. It is the looking which is important. And the looking is not coming from the mind. So it could be the inquiry in the form of who am I, which is another thought, yes. But it is making us look at who I am. So it is the looking which is of value. It is not even the reporting of the answer, just the looking itself. So you could be using who am I Or you could be using something like niti niti, not this, not this. That is also inquiry. I'm not this, I'm not this body, I'm not these emotions, I'm not this thought, I'm not even this presence. And the awareness which is aware of all of this. So a different technique was used. But again, the point was the looking for who I am. Okay.
It's more like when explored, it's not really a curiosity question, but it's so it is seen that there is simply presence. Thoughts come, they go. Actions happen, no one is doing it, right? And no one's thinking those thoughts either. They come simultaneously. Okay. So what happens is that when
Can you repeat all of this? I want all of you to hear what he said.
okay, so there's just the presence. Thoughts come, they go. Actions happen. There's no one thinking those thoughts, they just come. And there's no one doing the actions actually, just movement. Everything else is just another thought saying, I did that. So that is experience as what is happening. Now the question comes that when something has already happened, right? So basically thoughts cannot make anything happen.
Yeah.
They can only comment about the things, right? So the hand moves, picks up the thing, I say I picked it up. Thoughts can only say I picked up. The thoughts did not make me pick it up actually. It was already happening. Okay. And there's no person. So what happens is that it brings me back to the yesterday's point, for example, when we talk about someone's human weakness. Like the topic of someone's human weakness. So what happens is that Advaita is a very good explanation for someone that wants to do something wrong or whatever it is. But when we look at it actually, if the thing actually happened, then regardless of whether the person, there's no person, but regardless of whether the intention or whatever was there or not, it happened, means it was meant to happen that way, right? So if we, when we say that a person had a moment of human weakness, but there's no person, then,
Okay.
right?
This is a very good point. So I'll explain this some more because this can be sticky for some of us. What I was talking about is the claim, especially in spiritual circles with some gurus and things like this, that it was all just consciousness. Of course, everything is all just consciousness. So it obviously was all just consciousness. But you cannot claim that it was not consciousness believing the sense of personhood. So, like we keep saying, that consciousness unassociated has the fragrance of pure being. Consciousness, which is believing itself to be the identity, can then pick up this guru identity and use all of this kind of excuses to get this seemingly personal benefits through this identity. Okay? So it's a bit subtle and we can spend some time on this. Consciousness unassociated, when the sharing is emerging from that, everyone can smell the beauty of it. At least, even if there is a sliver of openness, it can be smelled that this is coming from a beautiful place of clarity, unmixed with ego, unmixed with the sense of person. Now, what happens is that the mind itself can take a hold of these concepts, and to the mind, to say everything is just God's doing is a beautiful concept. It can say that, okay, now personally, this is very good. I will get all these benefits from this sense, and you can find that, of Because everything continues to remain the play of consciousness itself. So the entire exploitation also is meant to be in this play of consciousness. But everyone has the smell that it is coming from a personal place. And the denial usually is from them that it is not coming from a personal place. You see, so my problem is not that this happened or didn't happen or should not have happened. My denial is only against the nonsense which very conveniently is used to explain this personhood playing out.
But the explanation actually is true.
The content of the explanation is true. The fragrance is untrue.
The fragrance.
Yes.
Yeah, so the sense of a person, and basically the smell of the sense of a person is still there. Of course, you can see that when you can feel at that sense. But the action,
Of
if
course,
it does
continues
happen,
to be conscious.
continues to be conscious.
That's what I say. Exactly the same problem with the spiritual ego also. So if the person itself picks up all the Advaitic concepts and they come to Satsang and we have a Q&A session, I find that usually it's so close that there is no getting through. Right? Because I took some examples. We must inquire. And the answer will come. Who's here to do the inquiry? I am God itself. God has to do it. Then you can smell it. That it's still coming from this identified state. Right? And there is a deep understanding here that all of this is done through consciousness. Grace is doing all of this, and grace will unfold this also. But in the role that is being played out through this, it seems to want to cut through all these layers with no attachment to the outcome. But the role in this play for what is operating from here is to want to chop this off.
So then the mind wants to come to a conclusion.
Yes.
So basically the conclusion is that awakening doesn't change how anything's going to turn out anyways. It's just going to change the fact that you can see the mind commenting on it, which normally creates a suffering, and that's let go of, and things are going to play out as they can play.
But what also must be said is that as the awakening happens, and not just when we say awakening, not just an awakening experience, but a settling in of this seeing happens, you find that even in the play of this character, it seems a lot less pressure. It seems a lot easier. It seems a lot at ease, usually. There's no conclusion, 100% conclusion like that. But you find that this seeming burden of carrying this life seems to be dropped off.
Entertaining a silly curiosity question.
No, it is very good. I felt this clarity was good.
But again, a knowledge question means certain people like suffering. Say an example, my case, suffering because of grace, it opened for this such beautiful thing. I see a lot of people where they suffer and they suffer all their life, but that opening is not there. So why? So certain consciousness is meant to be suffered to have some beautiful folding, and other consciousness just suffer and they means
So come to this point of openness.
yeah, point of openness. Although they yeah.
Most who come to the inquiry, who am I, have come because they realize that their ideas about themselves were not working and caused too much suffering. For a few, this question appears just spontaneously. Okay? Now, how much suffering is needed in each case to get them to a point of openness? This is undefinable. Okay? You can find that a lot of people are actually attached to their suffering and their identity is reliant on that suffering. So it is feeding the ego itself. They have the story about themselves that my life is messed up. And if this story was not there, they wouldn't know what to do with themselves. So in that case, the suffering also is adding to the identity till it comes to a point where it becomes so unbearable that something will cause them to look and see that this is not working. I need to find out who I am. So it can be that the entire lifetime passes and they don't come to the open. Many old people die with a lot of conditioning, with a lot of concepts, with a lot of seeming suffering.
But this is grace, God grace only can make you open for it. So why it's been, I feel so fortunate that I haven't did anything which brought me here to front of Guruji, all that. It's just God grace. It's taking me all the way. But on the same time, so many other people where that grace is not there and they keep suffering. Means it's person with their mind cannot do that. Yeah.
But you must remember that there is only one being, one consciousness. So this one consciousness is projecting that life as well. So if you find that in this life there's a lot of suffering being projected, even that is because this consciousness wants to experience that. Nothing happens, like it is said, not a blade of grass moves without the will of consciousness. See, so the one that can provide the grace is also providing the suffering. This can seem a little strong sometimes. I had a friend who visited me. He said, Ananta, he was again, like I was saying, number one recruiter to Satsang relationships. So he was saying, Ananta, when it started, God was so much present. It was so beautiful when the relationship started. It was all grace. And now there's so much trouble in this. I said, this is not God. This is also God. So all of this is God's play. And the entire contrast of experiencing is available in this realm. So some you find deeply suffering and some you find just without even spirituality, just naturally happy, effortlessly. This is all part of the play. So what we must focus on is come to our unfolding, our end of suffering, and then all those who come to our presence with a little bit of openness will be blessed by our unfolding. But to explain the workings of this world and how much, okay, has he reached 99% suffering, 100% now open, it is not like that. At least not visibly. It must happen when it is meant to happen. So what we call grace is actually just the same movement in consciousness, and everything is grace. And if this feeling is there, that you're feeling compassion for those who are suffering, also feel gratitude that, even without that extent of suffering, grace has brought you to this beautiful place. The mind has this tendency to focus on that which seems more juicy than a little suffering of the world. What about the gratitude that we are here? Lots of hands. Google can come.
This fear, the fear is there, but not as a sensation. Almost like I don't even know what form it exists, but it doesn't affect me bodily, but like some kind of a certainty or like a fall of doom or something like that. The feeling comes that always my awakenings
to happen too late. They come far too late to help anything, and that I've been like completely misunderstood all my life, including by myself. And as far as I see, just an innocent, curious being just moving through life, but with some quirks of personality and apparently a non-human brain. So, trying to function at multiple levels at the same time. And so I feel that being made to pay a huge, disproportionate price for such small
Quirk.
short quirks. That's what it feels like. And
You're
it-
neither of those.
Yeah, but the fear came up that that just I may not be understood at all, and just out of plain
And
stubbornness.
if you come to that point when you're not understood at all, you can start sharing Satsang.
I'm going with you.
Okay, so let's because for you I can say that just look and see that what you're talking about is just imagine. Where is the one with the quirks? Where is the one who's being misunderstood? Where is this one? We're still talking about the ghost who never existed.
But there is this child with my child with autism or whatever. Even that is not fully investigated.
So first let's
And-
fully investigate you. Then we'll come to the auxiliaries. And then see if it's possible that there is an individual existence.
So when I investigate myself honestly, I just feel I have to stay out of any activity.
When I investigate myself honestly, before we can come to a conclusion on what I must do, what is the I that I find?
There is only I find only silence and complete grace, and which has been taken along by grace completely at all moments.
You find silence
Even
is what you are,
then there is a movement in the silence.
and that movement is, and the silence and that movement put together is what you are.
Actually, in all moments of direct seeing, there is no way I can explain what I see. There is no way I can say.
You can make some pointers because I'll understand what you mean. Right now, who are you?
There is actually complete freedom from whatever has unfolded and will continue to unfold
For who?
for me.
Which is? And it's okay, even if some irritation comes.
You are not irritated. I just feel by them. I don't have the tools to say.
You don't have to worry about the saying. I'm interested more in your looking. So, this me is who?
This strong welding to the human close relationships. The five in number and it's
This
very
me
strong.
who has relationships is which one?
Actually, there is no such entity, but it's some. It's a random.
There is no
collage.
such entity is clear?
Yes, it's.
There is no such entity is clear. Okay. So now, if there is no such entity, what can it have?
It cannot have this
Cannot
this
have
coupling.
anything.
It cannot have this.
It cannot
these
have
things.
anything because it doesn't exist. But you, as consciousness, have the power to imagine and to pretend.
Well, actually, there is no real interest in that, because when I try to, as an experiment, try to prolong the play in any manner, this extremely fatiguing.
Yes, but there's interest in picking up the I, who doesn't want to prolong the play or wants to prolong the play. That picking up already happened. So don't pick up this I because you cannot find it. Then what is it?
Just an infinite joyful weight. That's it. Actually, nothing to do.
Is weight a concept?
No, it's not like a conceptual.
Because weight must mean wait for.
No, it's not even
It's
like
not a
that.
waiting for something.
No. Just again the curiosity to see how things will unfold, and also how this body, mind, or whatever apparent entity will react. Also, is not. It's as much a curiosity to.
So all of this is seen. Who sees it? Seeing that some energy of curiosity is there, wonder, some energy to see this body mind appearing and playing out in a certain way. It's seen. Who sees? And as we are here in this directness, we will keep ignoring whatever content the mind is going to show, that it's about this, about that. We are going to say, who is it appearing to?
I've not gone any further than this. I like to think at this point that it's like it is to the eye of Bhagwan
No,
looking at me. So
cannot
that
use
could
that
be
excuse.
wrong.
No.
So
I like to think at this point is the worst thing you can do.
I cannot go beyond.
You are already
can't
beyond.
plunge beyond this point.
It's simpler than what you're thinking it to be. These appearances are there. All these sensations of the body are there. All of this, who are they appearing to? The question is very simple. Are they to you or to someone else?
To me,
Okay. So this eye, what does it look like? How do you know it is me?
who can it be but me?
Yes. What does it look like? So you are the I to which all of this is appearing, isn't it? Can there be two of you? Now become substantial.
There has to be a trigger, there has to be an apparent trigger from the external universe for me to become that Suchitra.
Okay, suppose trigger is there. Yeah? Then how do you do it? This looking itself is I. This awareness itself is I. How does this awareness now become Suchitra? Show me the magic.
It's happening too quickly.
Slow it down. First, there must be an ability for me to be not this. To become something else, first I must be not this, because already you said there cannot be two of me. Okay? How will you be not this? How will you push this away, keep it aside, turn it off? Has there been any moment where this looking has been absent?
No, it's just like this thread is gone along, like it's just been traveling.
It's been there all along.
Yes, all along.
Then, if it has been there all along, and it is not possible for there to be two of you, then how is it possible to become another?
As far as I see it, this personality, there's no such thing as the personality also coming into play in response to an external trigger. There is no such thing. That's also some kind of an explanation only. So there is no break in the flow. There is
Yes.
no break.
You cannot not be this awareness. Doesn't mean that personality doesn't come up, but you can never become the person. You are always still the witness of it. It is only our belief in our thought which convinces us that I have become that. And convinces who? Not even awareness, the being, the presence, I am.
So the whole thing, the coming into force, so-called, of the personality and the external events, they were all part of that same appearance.
Yes.
And one part of the appearance was thought to be me, particularly thought to be me, which is actually it has no coordinates in space and time.
Only thought to be me or believed to be me.
There's no particular me in any of the things that have unfolded.
Yes. Cannot be, because you saw yourself. There cannot be two of me, and I cannot leave this awareness.
So who's rolling this movie past me?
It is the being, consciousness. When does the movie come? When what we call waking state or dream state comes. And what wakes up in waking state is the sense of I am, be. In the light of this I am, movie is playing. I am fades, movie goes. I remain unchanged. All of it.
Father, this beingness is completely clear.
Clear.
When I close my eyes, I can sense this infinite I am. But what happens, as you said, it has its perfume, peace, joy, and love. So whenever it has a perfume called peace, it feels it's completely clear. It's as if I can give satsang also.
Yes.
It's completely clear. But when this peace is not there, the mind comes in and stamps it as a boredom. And as you said, it is a fertile ground for thoughts,
Yes.
this boredom thing. And at that time also I inquire, I can see that this beingness is still there. So my question is, how can I handle it? Like not as a doer, but how can I handle this beingness in its neutral form without its perfume piece and without labeling mind as a boredom?
This is a very good point, and we should have made it at the beginning of the retreat. Actually, I often say that boredom seems like such an innocent thing, but energetically, it is very fertile ground for identity. I'm just getting bored now. I've heard this, it's the same now. Why doesn't this person finish the question already? Don't let him know. This sort of thing. But in this sense of boredom, we're very open to playing with some concepts, something to entertain ourselves through the mind. And you rightly said, when even this peace or bliss or something is not there, then the mind says, what's to all this? This is just so boring. This is the primal instinct of identity, almost, we can say. That's why I say that this world is created for entertainment, to solve the boredom of God itself. So it's very primal. So, just like this, you will find that this sense of darkness about this boredom. It becomes clearer. It's not like a light energy like peace or joy. It is luminous about boredom. And your sensor will become quite strong to this. Right now, it seems like you have to look and see the quality of this energy. But then it will become clear. As it starts to lurk in, then something will activate itself.
Mm-hmm.
Your attention will go back into the presence deeply.
Yes.
Just like that. So the darkness will not be allowed to stay. You will not find that in the light of the presence, when attention is there in the being, you will find that this dissipates very quickly.
Father, when it is there, when I check it, I can see in my presence, but the boredom is still there. Like mind stamps it. After like thoughts come, that is a different story. But the being is here, and the boredom stamping is also there.
If there's an expectation that by doing this this should go, then we're already giving power to the mind to keep track and say, "Acha, is it gone now? How much is it gone? Is it still there?" Forget about all of that. Just keep it lighter. You're making more work out of it than necessary. This you will find something gloomy, something is appearing. This attention is going back to the I amness. I amness is not concerned about even this. So just stay with that. Don't say it should go quickly, or you will find that it is going quickly. So maybe later you can report like that. But in that moment, don't be in a hurry, don't be in a rush. Just bring your attention to being. You'll find that I don't feel that if you have your attention in the presence, you can actually really believe that I'm there. No, it is when we are looking around for the children of presence, which is the love, peace, and joy.
Yes.
Yeah, it is that expectation which is there. You find nothing. No, this is good. Presence itself, no concept of boredom or not boredom. Even time and space don't seem to move.
But that neutral presence, it doesn't. Yeah, it's expectation.
The expectation
Yes.
that it should be like this. Very good. Subtler and subtler you're seeing is becoming.
Can I ask one more? Like you said, the seeing part. Seeing part is completely clear. The fear, I know it's a nonsense fear, but the fear that there is no seer is a fear actually. And you said it's a you're flying but not falling. It is not right now resonating. So,
If there was a seer, suppose that the fear that's not there's no seer is scary. Yeah? But now I'm saying that to me, if there was a seer, that would be scary. Because it would suppose it had a body which had to be taken care of. Suppose it had some other attributes which were coming and going. Really, anytime we say seer, it means entity. Entity means attributes. So as soon as attributes come in, we've seen that no attribute stays; it comes and goes. You see? Therefore, it again becomes changeful because attributes are changing. So if at the root I was this changeful one, then that would be scary to me because I could die. Once I see that I'm not the seer, I'm the seeing itself, then even the concept of death cannot apply to me. I cannot change. There is nothing here to live or die. It's just a seeing. But the minute we start imagining that there would be a seer, then death is very much possible for this one.
so it's a fear because of there's no ground to stand high.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's used to identifying as a thing, and now it is getting used to identifying as no thing.
Nothing.
So some fear is coming like that. But imagine the possibility that actually you are an entity now. I'm telling you, that is much more scary. There's an entity here that has been sitting over there and witnessing all of this play. That entity also will die. So this is the most freeing to see there is no entity and just this awareness itself. Short one?
Yes. Well, I just wanted to expose, I'm very good at exposing, so I felt I must. That when we were doing the whole exercise on fear, the fear, like it seems a lot less intense now, but at that point it was consuming, was of loneliness and just loneliness in terms of having somebody understand me, or just understand me basically. And when I went to the bottom of that, the thought that was really seeming powerful was that I just don't have anything. Like I was feeling emotionally drained, that I have nothing further to contribute to this relationship, and I can't do anything more.
like just burnt out. And then when you said,
You guys in silence or?
yeah, except for the kids. And then it was interesting because when you said to throw it into the fire, the thought, there was something also. It felt like I paid so much money for that thought that I didn't want to throw it away so fast. And
so much has been invested into
so-
it that it seems like, how can I just throw it away?
And there was also a certain amount of like, what will I stand on if I throw it away kind of thing.
Let's throw it away. No matter how much has been in our mind invested into certain things, identities, they are not in service to us. It must be thrown away. We feel like we lose something. We feel like we lose the most important thing in our life or something like this. Actually, you're giving yourself the biggest gift by throwing away this identity. They're just thorns which you are now plucking on.
So how do I throw it away?
By not believing. So already when you said that I want somebody to understand me, but do you understand who you are?
I know it's all rubbish, Father.
Then why do you want to hold it? That's how to throw it away. When you see it's rubbish, who wants to hold on to rubbish? Nobody. So seeing that it's rubbish itself is the throwing it away.
I see it very clearly.
It cannot be held on too long. Some magnetism from the past it can still have, but every time we see it for the rubbish it is, it will be thrown.
I think through all the waiting, there was a lot of should I come, should I not? But it was, I think the whole process of waiting burnt it in a sense because it seemed so consuming when it came up. And
That's the power of bringing it up. Just in contemplations during satsang also. That's the thing about relationships. There's this sense that something out there will complete me. Give me a sense of completion, give me understanding or something like this. But what is really needed is for us to understand ourselves, find out who we are. And then relationships will come from a place which are not dependent on need. It is not this barter of I need you, you need me, therefore let's be together. It is just that you're enjoying the presence, you're enjoying the love that exists. Thank you also very much for being in Satsang today. Sadhguru Shri Muji Ji ki Jai.
Sadhguru Ananta Ji ki Jai.
Okay, so the feeling is to end the silence at 5 o'clock after the Satsang today. Because some of you, I know the mind must be already saying, what about my travel arrangements? What about that? As if we'll never be able to get out of Tiru. We'll be stranded here for life. So you can break, but just after 5, just focus on what is really essential. And just communicate for that. Don't use it as an opportunity now. It is full now. I have to, especially for those who are now couples together, I have to share first day, this happened. Just stay in the silence as much as possible. And I was thinking that after dinner, maybe at about 8, for those who feel to, we can collect for some bhajan. Thank you all who've been patiently joining online, irrespective of whether you can ask questions or not. So much love to all of you.